What is going on, traders? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. Happy Thursday to you. So I wanted to talk about why you shouldn't buy Bitcoin here if you're not already in a position. And it's because of the level that Bitcoin is at. And then I'll go over a couple of updates in the crypto market and then do our traditional market update and go over some of the swing trade alerts that I sent out, mainly on NEO, which is the Chinese Tesla, CRBP, Corbus Pharmaceuticals, absolutely killing it for us, up 15% in the last week. If you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. Let me go over Bitcoin first, and then I'll go over some of the other ones. But looking at Bitcoin here, the reason that I wouldn't buy Bitcoin here is because it just doesn't make sense, right? We had this long descending channel that's been spanning since June 2019. Bitcoin finally broke out of it, as I suspected the last few videos. If you take a look at what I was saying, is that we were pushing up against resistance once again, but this time it's different because we have a rising VFI, right? So this volume flow indicator is attempting to predict or really assess whether the flow of volume is largely positive or negative, whether the flow of volume is incoming or outgoing, right? So in this case, we see that Bitcoin was pushing resistance as the VFI was rising from heavily negative levels up to around the zero mark. And we actually received the volume necessary, as you see here, to push up past this resistance, right? So I was saying that the breakout from a descending channel is likely to the upside because that's just how the pattern behaves historically, right? And at some point, we're going to have to break out of it. And with a rising VFI retesting resistance, this was that time. And we finally did break out of it, as you see Bitcoin closing above it for the last two candles. And now we are on this third one, which is red. So we see a bit of a dip here, about 1.33% from the open. Now, the reason it doesn't make sense to buy here is because you have the 200 moving average here as resistance, right? The 200 moving average looms, and the support, and we're currently finding support at the former resistance of the descending channel. So what is the upside to buying here? Well, there really isn't any, because you have this resistance, right? And we're still basically in between a very tight support and resistance line, and we don't know what Bitcoin is going to do. If we don't get enough volume and we see this RSI start to cool off and volume start to cool off, we could easily get into a situation where Bitcoin doesn't find support here, and this ends up being a fake breakout, which is very possible, and we dip back into the descending channel, right? Something that we don't want to see, but could be very possible. And then also buying here, we don't have any confirmation that Bitcoin can get above the 200 moving average, right? Say we don't dip back in the channel, but Bitcoin doesn't get above the 200 moving average that you see here. Well, if we do find resistance there, then Bitcoin will get rejected. Or if we do find resistance there, Bitcoin will get rejected. So what's the use of buying here if you don't have a position? Obviously, if you were following the trade alerts, you would know that we bought Bitcoin at the second retest of this support here at around 6,500. That's when I bought most of the Bitcoin. So even if you're playing a leverage play, like a leverage long, I wouldn't do anything here. This right here is just a wait and see moment, right? If you did buy Bitcoin before, you could certainly set a stop limit right underneath this resistance, which is now support of the descending channel, to take profits. But you know, in terms of making a move here, if you're not in a position, you just really are forced to stay put because we're wedged in between support and resistance. So the play is either wait for a breakout or a close above the 200 moving average, at which point we'll probably go on to try to retest previous highs that we saw back in June. Who knows when that is? I'm not saying we'll do that immediately. It could be even after the halving. But you either want to wait for a close above the 200 MA or wait to see if Bitcoin actually does breach this support due to a lack of volume and we fall back under the channel. Now, in my more longer term view, I do think that we will eventually start gradually rising towards the halving, which is around May. Whether we get to 14,000, I don't think so. We might, fall shy of that, but still break out of this 200 moving average, or somewhere in between there and 14,000, and then potentially see the usual dip that we see before the halving, and then a gradual rise to new highs, even surpassing 20,000 eventually, right? Whether that's 2020, 2021, 2022, who knows, but we will eventually get there. Now, while that's happening, you can trade other coins, as we did with Dash. Dash is insane, up 200% since we entered. It has retraced a bit now. It's finding some price discovery at around the 120, 125 range, right? This is Dash against USD, not against Bitcoin. But we bought Dash at $49 when it was finding support at the 50 moving average. That's when I sent out the trade alert for Dash. And it wasn't even that long ago. I sent out the alert on Dash on January 9th, which is exactly a week ago. I was actually looking at the weekly chart, and there was a bullish divergence between the price and the RSI. The RSI was oversold, and Dash, every time it's oversold, it tends to see a rally. So I ended up buying Dash at 49, sent out an alert for it, and lo and behold, it went all the way up to around $150, which is just an insane gain for us, and one of the best rallies within the short term. So you definitely don't have to sit around just waiting for Bitcoin. If you want access to the trade alerts, you get the crypto alerts, the stock alerts, the options. Link is in the description. Taking a look at the traditional markets, you'll see that the markets are up today. As I was saying, after the China trade deal was signed, that will continue the rally, likely continue the rally that we're seeing in the traditional markets, in the equities markets. And I think the bull rally will continue through 2020 up until at least the election. The Fed might cut rates one more time, which will perpetuate the rally even further. But our stock portfolio is almost unbelievable to look at. I just can't believe what the gains that we've seen in 2019 continuing now into 2020. NEO was a short-term swing alert that I put out a few days ago. NEO is the Chinese Tesla, as I said before. But I bought it as it was finding support at the 200 moving average. It is now up 33% in a matter of a few days. Great swing trade on NEO. I think NEO is actually one of these that can also be a long-term buy. If NEO and Tesla are the two ruling electric car companies in China, and if China does embrace electric technology for vehicles, as it seems like they will be for the future, right? Replacing all the gasoline cars with electric cars, then, I mean, it's not out of the question that in 5-10 years you could see NEO in the hundreds of dollars, and currently it's still at $4.30. But I'll put a trailing stop on NEO and allow it to take profits whenever NEO does start to retrace. Tesla, of course, up almost 60% since we bought the dip on Tesla. It is now back up at around $510. What Tesla is doing on the market is amazing. A lot of analysts think that it is overpriced. It continues to be the number one shorted stock, which is hilarious. But again, just like NEO, you set a trailing stop, you forget about it, you're already in profit, so you're playing with house money at that point. CRBP is another alert that I sent out. I sent this out, what day was this? I sent this out on the 8th. And CRPB at that time was $6.11, and it is currently trading at $7.04, so an increase of 15% within a week. It's looking extremely overbought here, so I will also be setting a trailing stop to book profits here. That is it for this quick short video. If you want access to the trade alerts, link is in the description. Sign up if you want access to that. Leave a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. It goes a long way. Leave a comment if you have an agreement, disagreement, question, or whatever. I love to hear from you guys, so leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.